What's up, everybody? How we all doing? Today we are going to dive into text and type styles and paragraph styles. These are all really simple, fun things. I kind of began to touch on text in our last video last week, but for example, this is that tutorial file I had started. When you have text in a text box, you can do the same things that you would be able to do in like a Word document, right? You can tab over paragraphs, you can start to add bullets and numbering, um, any kind of thing you want, right? That's just how text works generally across most computer programs. But what you can also do is start to play with settings that maybe less known about. So you can start to edit in certain instances the space between text, right? So like when you remove it to like 6 points, it drops way down. The default's like 14 and a half, but you can start to um, space out your settings for various paragraphs. Obviously, you can set your font, right? I know I was being uh, real picky last time about what fonts I want you to use, but I'm just going to use some fun ones for this instance just to explain. You can also change the spacing between letters individually, right? So 0 is the default, but you can bring your letters closer together. Now, this can be helpful when you're working on maybe some sort of logo. Obviously, if you type a space, that space still exists, but the actual um, letters in words become closer together, right? And if you hit these three dots, you'll be able to start to really edit text, right? So, for example, let's put let's keep our stuff highlighted. Let's put our text spacing back to 0. So this is kind of like a default. Let's zoom in so you can really get an idea of what's going on here. Let's take this word. So there are two things called leading and kerning, and what these do are they are the width of the actual characters and the height of the actual characters, right? And so what you can do is you can start to adjust literally the the height as well as the width of your characters. And so when you start to do these with roughly the same proportions, what starts to happen is it looks like you just have a larger font face, right? But that's not exactly what's happening. It is literally stretching, or in this case, compressing the characters to a certain number of pixels on your screen. And so you can make certain words taller or shorter and really start to just play around with these settings. And this is very helpful if you are trying to do something interesting graphically with text, maybe for like title pages or certain types of headers or call outs. This can be very helpful. So those are a couple ways we can start to like play with text, right? But what do we do if we want to edit text at a large scale, right? So we have like three different, I'm typing, we have three different fonts in here, different paragraphs happening. It's kind of a lot going on, right? But let's dive into that. Let's say that I want all of my text to be the same, all of my paragraph text, my body text. You're going to want all your body text to be the same, right? In this example, I will say, all right, this is our like header, and these down here are our body text. So first, I'm going to keep it Arial, but since it's a header, I'm going to make it Arial bold so it pops a little bit. And maybe I want it to be all caps, right? So if I click this button, it becomes all caps. And let's underline it for good measure. I also want to bump up the font size. Boom, this is our header, right? Now, instead of doing all of those little tasks to get this text to look like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the properties where it says paragraph styles. I'm going to hit new paragraph style. I'm going to name this titles, right? And then I am going to hit enter. So this is now our titles paragraph style, right? So what does that mean? Let's say I go over to this text box and I have this right here is my title for this. Oop, I accidentally deleted it. Let's say this right here is my title for this paragraph. I just highlight it, go over to the paragraph styles, click on my paragraph style that I made, and it copies all of the type settings that I have set on this title to this title, right? So this is incredibly helpful. You can have a paragraph style for your title, maybe like a subtitle, dates can be a different title, your body text. Let's say I want my body text to be a little smaller. I want it to be narrow, and maybe I want the spacing to be just a little smaller than it normally is. I'm going to make this a new paragraph style where it's called body. Go ahead and hit enter. I can now go ahead and just start selecting everything and applying this paragraph style to it. And it does all of the work of changing that type for me. And that's super helpful, right? So how do we then change our like individual words within a paragraph without messing up the paragraph style? Well, that is called a character style. So if I go over here to character style, let's say every now and then I have a word that needs to be italicized, right? So I can set this to like narrow italic and, or you know what, narrow bold italic. And then I want it to be all caps and underlined. But I only want it in certain words. I don't want that to override the paragraph style, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to character styles. I'm going to make a new one. Let's say, for example, let's say these were like names of something. And every time you set it, it needed to be called out. So this character style will exist right here, and I can then go to other parts of that paragraph, and it will take that text and again apply those same parameters to it. And this works across pages, across the whole document. You'll be able to take these settings and apply these. So that's really the basics. Again, start to take your content and build out this portfolio. And soon I'm going to tell you guys about the baseline grid. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys soon.